This guy is a high school virgin loser who gets dumped by the queen, but then unlocks amazing powers to get his revenge whilst bagging a god-tier princess.
The story followed a boy named Tuka, a weak and socially invisible high school student often subjected to bullying and mockery. His life had been anything but kind, marked by childhood trauma from domestic abuse at the hands of a violent stepfather. All while his mother didn't give a crap.
Emotional, damn it!
One day, Tuka woke from a nap filled with painful memories only to witness a classmate, Shogo, bullying a girl named Ayaka. Shogo had snatched her book and was taunting her in front of the other students on the school bus. Though Ayaka was the class president, even she was powerless against Shogo's constant torment. Tuka briefly fantasized about standing up to the bully, imagining how cool it would look, but ultimately dismissed the idea. He considered himself more invisible than air.
Oh, what the fuck?
Shogo escalated things, offering to return Ayaka's novel only in exchange for information about another girl named Ran. When Tuka unexpectedly stood up to Shogo, it caught everyone off guard, including Shogo himself, who burst into laughter and began bullying both of them. Things shifted when Takudo, an elite student known for his strength and aloofness, intervened. He commanded Shogo to return the book and shamed his bullying behavior. Shogo returned to his seat and immediately targeted someone else, mocking Tamahiro for not standing up to the bullying either. Then the impossible happened. The bus vanished, and everyone found themselves transported to an unfamiliar world. Confused and scared, they tried to make sense of their new environment. Phones were useless, their belongings were gone, and panic set in. Suddenly, a radiant goddess named Visos appeared, announcing that they had been summoned to the kingdom of Olen as heroes tasked with defeating the great demon empire. Visos explained that the demon threat resurfaced every few centuries and that the summoned heroes were humanity's only hope. This time, unfortunately, they were summoned 200 years after the last cycle. Many students were skeptical, some thinking it was a dream, others panicking. Tokudo asked what would happen if they refused. Visos replied bluntly, no hero would return home unless the Demon King's essence was retrieved, either from his heart or from the energy released upon his death, which had to be captured in a special pendant. Shogo rebelled against the idea, claiming they had no part in this world. Ayaka questioned whether Visos had chosen the right people, as they were just ordinary high schoolers. But Visos assured them they each possessed powers beyond human capability. To demonstrate the reality of the situation, Visos summoned a prisoner and fed him to a monstrous creature before burning what was left of. Horrifying display meant to prove that this was not a dream. Next, she had each student touch a crystal to test their magical strength. Each student's results varied, but when Takudo touched the crystal, it shattered under his power. Visos declared him an S-rank hero. Shogo followed and received an A rank. Then came Tuka's turn. His crystal barely flickered, its purple glow dim. Visos coldly moved on without a word. Tuka felt unsurprised. Being ignored had become the norm, but his humiliation deepened when his stats revealed that he was weaker than an insect. The others laughed. Shogo grew bored and ridiculed the ongoing lecture. When another student scolded him, he asserted his rank superiority. Then came the final blow. Visos had Tuka stand in a marked circle. She explained that, as an E rank, he was more a liability than a hero. She decided to banish him to ancient ruins filled with monsters. If he survived, he would earn the right to live. Tuka tried to protest, claiming he had a unique skill. Visos dismissed it as weak and useless against even the lowest tier monsters. She mocked his stats, calling him dead weight. His classmates jeered, and Tamahiro, once a friend, now sided with the others, demanding respect as a senior. Visos handed Tuka a leather pouch containing a low-tier magical jewel. As the ritual began, Ayaka suddenly objected. Without hesitation, Visos struck her down. Tuka, enraged, used his skill to strike Visos, but it had no effect. Her divine shield was too strong. He stood humiliated. Takudo ensured the ritual could proceed, and Tuka was cast into the ruins. In the darkness, he activated the weak magic jewel to light his path. Surrounded by skeletal remains, he realized the horror of his situation. A monster lunged at him, but he dodged. Terrified, he ran. Though panic surged through him, his anger burned hotter. He stumbled, and the monster nearly ended him. In desperation, he used his skill again this time, successfully immobilizing it. Tuca kept running, his survival instincts sharp. Despite everything, one thing burned in his heart: he would survive. He would return, and he would take revenge on the goddess who cast him aside. He checked his stats and saw only one mana point left. With no better option, he used poison on the monster before him. The strain caused him to bleed from all over his body. Unfortunately, the first monster recovered as his mana depleted, and Tuca found himself trapped between the two. Exhausted, with no mana left, he saw more monsters approaching. Even though he was drained, he launched an attack. Some were immobilized, but their numbers kept growing. As his strength dwindled, he braced for death, preparing one last attack. Then something unexpected happened. His level shot up to 258. All his stats rose, his mana replenished. Realizing he had leveled up by killing a monster, he renewed his resolve. Testing his enhanced stats, he discovered he could now immobilize multiple enemies at once. With this breakthrough, he decided to treat the ruins as a training ground as battlefield. Every ability used raised its level when applied to multiple enemies. His stats skyrocketed. He carefully managed his mana, preserving it for crucial moments. By the time he reached level 500, monsters began to flee from him. He scoured the ruins for food and water, but found nothing but rotting corpses. Unable to bear the taste, he held out until his poison wore off. Lying among the bodies, he accepted that the ruins were designed to break and starve exiled heroes. Then, his pouch changed color and grew heavier. Inside, he found food and water. He ate without hesitation. Days later, surrounded by the remains of his enemies, he sat atop the ruins, reflecting on how far he'd come. He recalled the warmth and love of his aunt and uncle's stability he lacked in his earlier life, yet now he felt no remorse for what he'd become. He embraced his new self. Deeper in the ruins, he came across two corpses holding hands. They had accepted their fate. Nearby, he found a stash of jewels, which he took for future use. In another room, a door drained his mana to open. Inside lay a body with an envelope. Tuca, now fluent in this world's language, read it. The man was Anglina, former Dark Champion. It was the same class granted to Tomohiro. Anglin's note revealed that Visas had sent him to the ruins out of necessity. Before dying, he entrusted the reader with his legacy. Tuca raged at the revelation. To him, Visas was more monstrous than the demon lord she feared, he realized. He wasn't any different. He no longer cared about saving the world. He wanted revenge. Among Anglin's belongings was the complete book of forbidden arts, full of recipes and enchantments. Tuca took it. He found a scroll on forbidden magic that he couldn't read yet. He hoped he'd unlock its secrets and gain the power to defeat Visas. Then he read a chilling warning. Beware the Soul Eater, the entity responsible for the deaths all around him. Cautiously, Tuca pressed on until he found a massive door with a blue lock. Hoping it led to freedom, he advanced but was attacked by a statue with a white gem embedded in its forehead. The laser burned his hand. While tending his wound, the Soul Eater emerged. Tuca ran. Outside, a mysterious girl had arrived at the gate. Unaware of the horrors within, back inside, the Soul Eater released a sludge filled with ancient corpses' former exiles. He summoned them to torment Tuca mentally. The creature's shriek shattered Tuca's senses. Desperate, he tried to immobilize the undead, but hesitated to use poison on them. Retreating, overwhelmed, Tuca cried out for help. But then he found himself near the Soul Eater's true face. He launched a final paralyzed spell. The Soul Eater was shocked when Tuca revealed everything had been an act to be underestimated. To play weak until he could strike. This time, he would not hold back. With ruthless precision, he tortured the Soul Eater until it vanished completely. As silence fell, the ghosts of fallen heroes appeared and congratulated him. Anglin approached, intent on crushing the goddess. Placing it into the final door, he opened the path, and sunlight poured in. He had survived the ruins, and he was ready to return to the surface to begin his revenge.
It's be about time.